Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Happy Hour. My name is Melody, homeschool mama of 4 and our blended family of 6. Today we're going to talk about another history curriculum / resource option if you're interested, and that is Blossom and Roots, A River of Voices. If you're interested in taking a brief inside look at this, stick with me and let's take a look. Before we go any further, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and follow along as we talk all things homeschool, homeschool life, curriculum, resources, all that fun stuff. If you have been following along on our channel, then you know that we have really been focusing on history a lot lately, and I have a stack of history curriculum to share with you. There is or will be a side-by-side video available where you can look at all of these at a glance and get a quick comparison. But if you're interested in a little bit more of an in-depth inside look at each of them, then I will have videos on all of them for you in that capacity as well. Today is specifically about the River of Voices, or A River of Voices, from Blossom and Root. Sorry about the glare on that. Let's take the cover page off. There we go. That's a little bit better. This is a secular curriculum. It is a PDF, which I printed off. This is actually not the parent guide. I printed off the parent guide so you could see what their cover is to the parent guide, but that was 300 some odd pages, so I did not print that off. But I printed off the student guide, and so we will take a look inside this. I will do my best to get a little pop-up video here so I can scroll through the parent guide a little bit if, cross your fingers, I am able to be that tech savvy, because if you have been following along, you know I am not that tech savvy.
Hopefully this records okay. As you can see, I've pulled up the first lesson here so that you can take a look at it. It gives you a quick introduction to what the lesson is going to be about, and then goes straight into some checklists. You've got a checklist for the minimalist, the gentle pathway, standard pathway, advanced pathway. You can build one on the other. It also has people that just want book baskets. Here's a list of books that would go great in your book basket. And then videos for the visual learner, and some of the most important topics highlighted there. As you can see, this really is a curriculum that is all about resource lists, resource guides. It's giving you so many different visual resources and book resources that you can use and put together. They also have a student notebook. There are some hands-on activities that she had suggested. There's the advanced pathways all throughout, and then we get to lesson 2.
Let's talk a little bit about history curriculum and homeschooling. For us, it has been a real challenge over the years to find that history curriculum that just hits that sweet spot. It's just exactly what we're looking for. And I have found some that I really like. But I've come to discover that one is just not enough for us. And it is definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. There is not a curriculum that I will show you and say, this is your history solution for all things US history. Because every family is different, you're looking for different things, you want a different approach. So my goal here is to share some choices with you so you can look at them and decide which one works for you, or which 2 or which 3 works for you. I totally encourage you to try more than one, because it seems that no matter how hard you try, all history curriculum is biased. It all is on some level, some more than others for sure. And I know there are many that try hard not to be biased or to not have a political viewpoint or a political slant, but I just think it's unavoidable. And so the trick is not trying to find the perfect history curriculum. The trick, I've decided for me, is to find a good mix of resources and sources, curriculum, so that you can provide some balanced instruction. If you want to talk about things from a Eurocentric point of view, that's okay, but you should also be taking the time to talk about things from a non-Eurocentric point of view. As far as US history is concerned, we want to talk about the Native people and people from minority groups that have helped form our country into what it is. And I feel like A River of Voices does a really good job in providing that and filling what has historically, no pun intended, been a gap in our history curriculums and resources that have been available. So, few highlights. I wrote them down for myself so I didn't forget. Before I continue any further, I do have an affiliation pending with A River of Voices. So there may or may not be an affiliate link below. There will be a link so you can go to their source. But as with all of my curriculum reviews, this is just what I try and be as non-biased as possible, giving you just a here are the facts, ma'am review of what it is so you can decide what works for you. Blossom and Root has 2 volumes currently. They begin with very early American history, and the volume 2 goes from 1790s to the 1890s. I'm going to assume and hope that she will continue to bring out more volumes and move forward with her curriculum because I think it's a great resource. This curriculum was developed by Christina Garner. She is a homeschool mom, and I love that. I love how we can support other homeschoolers by investing in these curriculums. Her curriculum is super inexpensive. It is only available in a PDF, which if you like that, that's perfect. I usually like to buy printed materials, but I found out when I got her PDF, it's really easy. I got it in less than 24 hours. I went to the print shop in my teeny tiny town and I got the student manual printed off for super cheap, super quick, no problems whatsoever. First time I'd ever done that, so I was a little bit nervous, but I don't know why, because there was nothing to be nervous about. Some of the highlights to this curriculum, as I've seen them, is it's really focused on flexibility and choice. If you go into the teacher's manual or the parent guide, as she calls it, then it is not spelled out for you word for word. If you are looking for a curriculum that is just already pre-packaged, ready to go, and you just need to share it with your kids or just hand it over, then this is probably not the curriculum for you. And she just outright says that in her parent guide, which I really appreciate. She's very upfront with what it is, who it will, who it won't work for. But if you like to do literature-based and do piecemeal and have flexibility in your curriculum, this is a great choice. The parent guide is just that. It's a few suggestions on what your schedule could be. You have a few pathways, as she calls them. It ranges from like kindergarten all the way to middle school this could be used for. You could choose what she calls the gentle pathway, which is just a really light overview. You could use this curriculum in 1 year. You could use this curriculum over the course of many years and just continue to dig deeper and deeper. This is something that you can really modify to fit your needs and your family. You can look at her recommendations for scheduling, or you can just use whatever schedule you want. Now, of course, we can do that with anything, right? But sometimes it's hard not to follow the rules if it has a schedule out or if it has a plan. It can be really challenging for us to not fall into that trap of having to be instructed by the curriculum rather than let us use it as a tool. And even the way that she has formatted her materials is really supports that flexibility. And I love that. In the structure that she does offer for the recommendations, it is not tightly structured. So if you want tightly structured, maybe not your thing. But if you like to have more freedom, this is a good one. I like that she has a section specifically dedicated for the minimalist. And if you just want to touch on things and just go through it lightly, you can totally do that. But she also has these massive book lists and video lists and supply lists all available to you that you can gather to dig deep and into any of the lessons. She has resources for you to build book baskets. She has hands-on activities, what you need for a visual learner, so many dynamic options. Now, that is, in my opinion, the highlight of this curriculum are the options and the resources that she has laid out for you, because it takes time to gather that information and come up with that. And then each lesson as you go through is focused on a different area, and then she'll show you which videos and which books and which hands-on activities relate to that lesson, and you get to choose how you use it. It does come with this student notebook, which you can see they can decorate the front page. And then it has guidance in the parent guide on how you can do journaling or do a timeline or do a scrapbook or something for your student to do. They have this notebook. You could just use this, and it gives them a chance to draw or color and write. It has some maps in here related to what they've been talking about on any given topic. And let's see, some key points to focus on. And then of course it is gentle pathway, standard advanced pathway. Hopefully you can get a good look at that. I love that it is a completely secular curriculum. It does, of course, have certain mentions of like biblical quotes as they relate to what is happening in that moment or as it might relate to a certain character. But a lot of the resources that she does, they focus on like Native American history from the point of view of Native Americans. One of the books that she quotes in there is, where is it? A Young People's History of the United States, which I will be doing a separate review on this one, so make sure you stick around for that. As far as politically leaning, now I feel like all curriculum, especially when it comes to history, tends to lean one way politically or the other. The challenge with this is everyone gets really defensive, right? So if you have a history curriculum that is super liberal, then people who are conservative will scream and shout and be like, that's propaganda, don't listen to any of that, blah, blah, blah. Same thing in the other direction. If you have a curriculum that's really conservative and you get people from the other side screaming and yelling, that's propaganda, don't listen to it. The fact of the matter is that no matter where your source is, you should always be looking at it critically and thinking about, where did this source come from? Are these fact-based statements? And she has her resources there for you to look through and evaluate and discuss as you want to discuss in your family. You can choose what fits, what doesn't fit. If there's a book or a resource, you're like, you know what, I don't want to introduce this to my children at this time, then don't. It's not a required portion. You get to choose. I would, however, caution you, especially as your children get older, from tunnel visioning their history. If you are a conservative family, as we are, or if you are a liberal family, and then all of your history is just coming from those viewpoints, you're not allowing your child to see things from a different point of view. You're not giving them the opportunity to consider another viewpoint as far as, oh, well, I've always heard it from a conservative view, and I've heard maybe, liberals are bad, or I've always heard it from a liberal view, but conservatives are bad. And when we do that and we play hero and villain, we really miss the point. We miss out on a lot of learning opportunities. And I think that balancing the materials that we give our children when it comes to history is really important. Now, from my first glance at this material, I would say it is more liberal leaning in the resources that I see that she's using. I don't see that as a bad thing if you're conservative. I think understanding where people are coming from when they choose to live their lives in that direction more is valuable. Let's understand the people around us. Maybe we'll learn something and we'll say, oh, well, that makes sense. I never considered it from that viewpoint. Maybe we'll change some of our own ideas. What a fantastic thing to be able to learn and grow no matter your age. I would see this more as a guideline for resources than an actual curriculum, because the material itself is really inexpensive, and potentially if you have a good library, you could get the books and resources that she suggests for free, which would keep it really inexpensive, which is great. If you live in a more rural area like I do and your library resources are limited, you might end up investing more and more money as you collect these books. I don't ever think that's a bad thing. I mean, can you spend too much money on books? If you're a book person like me, the answer to that is no. But if you're on a strict budget, that is something to consider for sure. I do think that her material is probably some of the most culturally sensitive material that I've ever looked at. She goes through to make sure that you understand, different verbiage and what we call different groups of people matters and impacts those people, and what is considered acceptable, what is not considered acceptable. It's all in there. If it looks like this curriculum is something that you would like, that your children would like, make sure you drop a comment in the box below and let me know what you think. Let me know if it's something you're going to invest in, or if it's something you've already used. Let us know. Did you love it? Could you live without it? What do you think? What worked for you and your family? Is this review helpful? I always want to get your guys' feedback. Make sure you stick around, because I will be showing you this again in a side-by-side with a list of other history curriculum. I think I have about 6, maybe 7, we'll say 6, that I'm going to be doing a side-by-side where you can look at all of them and see which one might be the best fit for you. Again, maybe consider looking at more than one, because there's so much to learn out there. There's so many viewpoints out there. And in the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time.